Hey boys, welcome back to the channel where the season is about to kick off tonight. Going to be making my tips video, going to go through every game. I'm not going to dwell on, I don't have time to really delve into sort of the teams like I usually would, but I'll give my predictions for the games. I guess one thing to note is a lot of the games in Sydney potentially could be very wet, so that's one thing to keep in mind, I guess. But the first game, Thursday night thriller here, Panthers v Eagles. You know, unfortunately, Nathan Cleary is out of the Panthers lineup, so otherwise it would have been a basically full-strength team for either side. And with Cleary being out, I mean, I can't go past the Seagulls. I don't think the Panthers are going to get run over like the Eels did in the trial. I think the Panthers will definitely put up a good fight, and I wouldn't be shocked if they beat the Seagulls, honestly. Because let's be real, the Seagulls, it does come down to mainly one guy. Like, there's other guys around him, but if Tommy has a great night, then the Seagulls are probably going to win and win comfortably. But I'm gonna tip the Seagulls 1-13 in this one. I don't think it's going to get away from the Panthers, but I think the Seagulls should be able to win this game without Cleary being in the Panthers lineup. Moving on to the first Friday night, Arvey night game. Raiders v Sharks. Now this is an interesting game. I have a feeling that the Raiders are going to start the season pretty strongly. You know, quite a few new faces. A lot of youngsters coming into the team. It's still a very good forward pack, but you know what? I did just remember that there's no Jamal Fogarty. The Brad Schneider comes in to partner Jack Wyden. Don't know enough about him to really, factor in if he's going to kill it in the top grade. And for that reason, I got to go with the Sharks in this one. I just feel like, even though there's plenty of changes there as well, I mean, the new Haas pairing of Hines and Moylan, Ronaldo, I guess, changes up into the centres. The rest of the backline's pretty standard. I mean, Ikavalu is a new recruit, but very accomplished winger, I would say. And then the forward pack is, again, very strong. I mean, the one big thing here is the Sharks. Their bench is just absurd. I talked about this in the in the last video I talked up with the team list, but what are they thinking with this bench? Like, I'm shocked. I'm shocked that they don't have a utility on the bench. So that's one thing that could bite them on the arse, but I think the Sharks are going to get the win here. Honestly, I think the Raiders will stand up. I'll go 1-13 to the Sharks as well. I don't really see that many blowouts this round at the moment. We'll see when we go through. So the Bronx v the Rabbits. Oh man. So a couple of bigger missions for both teams. Obviously, big one for the Bronx. Adam Reynolds. Kobe Hetherington also not playing. Other than that, I mean, it's a good team on paper. I don't think you could really. I guess Tom Flegler also is a mission from the Bronx lineup, but other than that, it's a good team. It's a good team on paper. It's a strong forward pack. It's got some excitement in the backs. I think the big point here is going to be the halves and the dummy half, I would say, to see how they can gel together. On the side of the Rabbits, obviously no Latrell Mitchell, obviously missing Adam Reynolds, so the young kid Ilias comes in. I saw Blake Taff actually injured his ankle at training, so he might be out. So I'm trying to think, they might. Alex Johnston is probably the man that would go to fullback, even though he's not really a fullback, but I wouldn't see Paulo. Maybe Campbell Graham, potentially. Anyone in the reserves could go on there. I don't know. They could do that and then bring on the Isaiah Tass, the youngster from Broncos. Very talented kid. Could come into the team. But yeah, my head is telling me the Rabbits, but my heart, I got to go with the heart. I'm going to go with the Bronx. I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like they can win this game. the Rabbits a little bit, they're a bit, what's going to happen this year with no Reynolds and, a bit of a weaker side. So I'm going to go with the Bronx. They're definitely not going to flog them. Again, I'll go 1-13 for the Bronx here. Surely, please. With no Adam Reynolds, it is a little tough, but it's still a good team, and they can't rely on Reynolds to win games. Like, they still have to do it without him to prove that a lot of these young guys can stand up. So I'm gonna go with the Bronx, probably against my better judgment on that one. Then we have the Roosters v the Knights. Oh, okay. Straight up, I'm tipping the Roosters. I honestly feel like there's no way they lose this game. Don't get me wrong, the Knights were very impressive in the trials. I actually thought Clifford and Clune looked really good in the halves. Does that transition to the regular season? Maybe. Honestly, Adam Clune was pretty good at the Dragons for any games he filled in, and I thought he was probably good enough to get a starting spot somewhere, and he's found himself at the Knights, and I think he's actually a pretty decent half, all things considered. And then Clifford showed a lot of talent at the Cowboys, and I was a little bit surprised that they got rid of him for Dearden, basically, and even Townsend. So some weird things going on there. They got a strong forward pack once again. It's a little weaker with Saifidi missing, and also the fact that they have Fitzgibbon starting over Barnett makes it weaker. But it's not a bad forward pack. The Roosters obviously a very, very strong forward pack. Great halves, really good talent in the back line. Yeah, the Roosters, I think this is a game that could be really heavily, wet weather footy. So it could be a low scoring game, but I am going to tip the Roosters 13 plus in this one. I think this is a game that could blow out for the Knights. Although, I don't know, the Knights, they could surprise. A lot of people are really bashing on the Knights this year, but I don't know. The halves pairing, it impressed me. So if they can continue that form and be consistent, the Knights could surprise. But I still got to go with the Roosters. Next up, Warriors v Dragons. Again, this is going to be a tough one. Oh man, the prodigal son Sean Johnson returns to partner Cody Nikorima. Obviously no Reece Walsh, which is disappointing. I would have loved to see Reece Walsh in round 1 of the season, but Harris Savita fills the fullback spot while he's gone. I think he'll do a good job. I definitely don't think he'll be a natural fullback, just positional play and stuff like that. I feel like he might struggle a little bit. And honestly, the kicking game of the Dragons, like McCulloch has always been pretty good out of dummy half. Ben Hunt, I think, is pretty underrated in his kicking game. So I think that's where the Dragons could get a nice little advantage if Harris Savita is a little bit sluggish with positioning and just sort of game awareness at fullback. I think could hurt the Warriors, but some fresh faces in the back line, some talent with Rocco Berry and this Valia. Haven't seen him, but obviously there's some pretty big raps on him. I am excited, like I said, Johnson coming back. I am very excited to see him at this Warriors team once again. It's a very, very powerful and strong forward pack. It's honestly it's got to be up near the top of the list for forward packs. Whether or not they actually live up to the potential is another matter, but they've got the size, they got the skill, they've got some footwork. It's a very, very dynamic forward pack in my opinion. I think it is stronger than the Dragons pack, although the Dragons do have a good pack as well. The new recruiter Sewer, I really like. Jack Bird moving into the back row I think is pretty good. Laurie is probably their unsung hero in the front row. I think he's very underrated. Aaron Woods, trash. Jack DeBellin, he's a good player. He is a good player. You can't deny that. And obviously, he'll be better for the run coming back after last year. And then I like their bench as well with Moses Mbai. So this is a tough one. And also the back. I would say the Dragons have a better back line, better back five. This is tough. I'm going to go with the Dragons. I'm going to go with the Dragons 1-13. I think they'll start the season, and they usually do. Even when they've had pretty poor seasons, they usually always start the year pretty well. And I can feel the Dragons being a top 8 team this year. So I'm tipping the Dragons. So yeah, even though I could see this going either way, but I'll go with the Dragons 1-13 in that one. Then we have the West Tigers Storm. So I mean, generally this would be a pretty easy tip, but obviously some big omissions for the Storm. No Munster, no Harry Grant, and now also Jesse Bromwich is gone with COVID close contact. Honestly, I don't think that's much of a loss. In all honesty, I haven't really been a fan of Jesse Bromwich in a couple of years, but I mean he's sort of their mainstay. Just does his job now. Nothing too flashy. It probably means Nelson would come into the starting lineup, which is, I don't know. I think it's pretty good. And then I don't know who would come onto the bench. I don't know. Maybe the young kid Howarth as a bit of a utility potentially. Although they've got too many utilities as it is. They need a big boy. So I don't know who they're going to go with. But we'll see. And then the Tigers, pretty much full strength. I think, is it? No one's missing of too much note. I like their forward pack. I mean, Kalma Tuolangi, Luciano Leilua, very, very damaging edge back rowers. I guess no Jacob Little, so Jake Simpkin comes in, but I mean, there's heavy raps on this kid. He didn't set the world on fire when he played last year, but I think there's a lot to like about him. The front row of Udakamanu and Twal. I actually, on paper, I got to say that the Tigers have a probably better forward pack. Yeah, I would say overall it's probably just slightly stronger, a little bit more explosiveness. But obviously Brandon Smith makes a lot out of dummy half, so you'd give that to them. And then the back line, there's some excitement, but there's also some points to be had. So I got to go with the Storm, and honestly, even with the stars missing, I'm gonna go with the Storm 13 plus in this one. Yeah, I don't know. I still think they can get the job done. It's maybe a little, Nick Meaney, we'll see how he goes at 5'8". I think he can do a job, but they'll lose a lot of attacking prowess with no Munster and Meaney instead. But I think Meaney can handle it. I actually I rate him fairly highly, honestly. I think he'll do well at the Storm. And thankfully Ryan Papenhuyzen's in his back, so they've definitely got some excitement and points in them still, the Storm. And Jerome Hughes is just the general. I mean, Jerome Hughes, still the most underrated player in the game. He's up there with Cleary as the best halfback in my opinion, and he doesn't get enough raps. So moving on to the Eels v Titans. Oh man, like the Titans are just full of young, exciting talent. The Eels are just very stock standard. They've got a lot of experience. They do have some young kids coming in as well, I guess. Sean Russell, Will Penasidi, the new recruited Bailey Simonson as well. As much as I don't like to say it, I do think the Eels will win this. I think they're going to start the season pretty well. I think the Titans are going to put up a good show. It's going to be a high-scoring game, I think, regardless. I mean, I'm hoping the Titans can get the job done, but I just feel like I think it's going to take a little bit of time for the halves to really click. We haven't seen Brimson at all in the trials. I don't think he has played at all, so it's I'm a little bit surprised. I guess they didn't actually get a chance to play their final trial, which was disappointing. So I think just with the experience and just the games under the belt, I've got to go with the Eels here. I think it'll be high scoring, but I think both teams will score pretty well. So we'll go the Eels 1-13 in this one. Hoping the Titans win, but I think the Eels are just a little bit strong for them in round one, that is, until the combos really click. Then we have the Cowboys Bulldogs. Oh man, this is also a tough game. I just don't know how these teams are going to go. Obviously, the Cowboys were pretty impressive in the trials. The Bulldogs were awful in the trials, but you can't really read too much into that at all. Peter Hiku comes into the centers as a new recruit. I think is decent. The new halves pairing is Dearden and Townsend. Like I said, I think that's a terrible decision. It should be Townsend and Drinkwater. Dearden is a halfback through and through, so I just don't think it balances the team well at all. I mean, granted, it will provide better defense, which is good, but I don't know. I would have liked to see Drinkwater there. The forward pack it's got some young talent as well. Nanai, Lukey, Tanoa Brown coming over. Then you got the gun in Tamalolo. So I like the forward pack, and the bench is pretty solid as well. The Dogs on paper have a really strong forward pack, but it really didn't do much in the trials, but we'll see. If it turns it on, I mean, Tavita Pangai Jr., Hetherington on the edges are pretty damaging. Thompson was probably their best forward in the trials, I would say. And then the bench is a little... I got to say the bench is a little weak, I would say. Couple of new faces, I guess, with Max King and Patolo. But... I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. I'm not confident at all. I'm not confident of either of these two teams, but I just feel like, I don't know, the way the Bulldogs defended on their edges, it was pretty abysmal. Dufty is an excitement machine, but he's definitely not known for his defense either. So any sort of line breaks in is pretty much try time. So yeah, attack down Naden's edge, and I think they're in for some decent points. And yeah, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. I'm going to go Cowboys 13 plus in this one. I think if the Cowboys win, I think they'll win pretty comfortably. But the Bulldogs, who knows? They're a very untested, unproven team, and you don't really know what's going to come. So that's the tips and little preview for round 1 of the season. Hopefully, guys are keen. I'm sure you are. It's been a long off season. Put in the comment section who your tips are, and yeah. Look forward to more coming up in the future. Make sure to like and comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.